Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League One outfit, Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show. Good evening and a very warm welcome to you. Well, I certainly hope it's a warm welcome on a very, very cold Sunday evening. Winter as well, it's just around the corner, but it seems to have really set in a little bit earlier this year. Good evening, my name's Tonchi Prusak, and it's a very warm welcome to all of you for joining into the Football Out West show. It is episode 112, or our 10th episode this year. Gosh, time flies. It's going to be an absolute perler of a show, and bringing it with me each week, as he does every week, Steve Curtin, my co-host. Steve, it was a cold one today, but geez, we had some lots of hot football action to get us entertained this afternoon.
You're right, and speaking of hot and heating, I'm glad that the heating was already turned on when I got home from Lakeside Stadium, because it wasn't too warm out there this afternoon, but it was good to see our regular co-host Craig Filer in real life and spend the afternoon with him, and a couple of hot beverages to get us through the afternoon's action. And well, what a weekend it's been. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good, mate. Thawing out after a very cold start to the morning. I think it was about 7 degrees, 6.5 in fact, this morning, earlier today, when I was out and about on the football field. But we love it like that. Rug up, and just it's caught us so off guard, I tell you what. Yeah. I mean, it is. But anyway, enough of the weather talk. Let's talk about what's happening today, because we've got plenty to get through. We've got some great guests, as we do each week, which, by the way, Craig Filer is the one that works very hard behind the scenes getting these guests together. So big shout out to our buddy Craig, who's out there somewhere, I'm sure, listening in, tuning in, either on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, on Twitter, LinkedIn, man, you name the
all
platforms
of the above.
we come.
Yeah. And he's just thawing out as well, Craig. He's just made it home back to Werribee, and he's just trying to warm himself up now. I'm sure he's just tuning in now. I'm sure Craig and Heidi are just sitting back watching the show, just enjoying, hearing what's going on and catching up. And he might have some questions for us as well for our guests. He might just slip through. Who knows? But yeah, as you mentioned, mate, we've got some good guests coming on. Shall we launch into those first?
Let's go.
First up tonight, we've got the victorious coach of Heidelberg United from the weekend, George KATSAKIS. Looking forward to having a chat with George for the first time this year. Also, we've got the coach of Burundara Eagles, Manny Kutulis, is going to be joining us, and also Yarraville's coach, Paul AGATHOULI. So a star-studded lineup of guests, if you don't mind, as well. As always on the Football Out West, as you mentioned earlier, big thanks to Craig for using his contacts. Mate, his little black book is it's not little at all. It's enormous. He's got that many names in there. And I tell you what, when we were trying to leave Lakeside today, he was getting bailed up by every single person. I'm not sure. Maybe he was bailing them up. I don't know. But myself and the cameraman, we had to just make a move and get out of there, me and Mateo. We needed to get home. We've got the show to do. And we'd just leave. He might still be there talking. I don't know.
Maybe that's why the reason he isn't on the show tonight. Folks, big shout out to our major season sponsor for 2023, NJT Carpentry and Home Builders Corps. Nick Trajewski there. He'll look after you for any of your construction requirements, construction needs. And dare I say, in this day and age when interest rates are so high and builders going bust, it's good to know there are reliable builders there. And there are certainly services out there to help you out. Speaking of that, we're going to take a very, very short break. And here's a couple of words from our sponsors and some business advertisers as well. And if you'd like to advertise your business on the Football Out West show, right down the bottom now, contact us via email there at footballoutwest@gmail.com. That's footballoutwest@gmail.com, or send us a private message via our Facebook page, which some of you are probably, no doubt, tuning into as we speak. Folks, we're going to take a very short break. When we return, it is time for the usual Sunday evening news desk.
At Guzman Finance, like you, we are passionate about the western suburbs and football. Our main passion, however, is helping customers succeed in their financial goals. As trusted mortgage brokers, we offer knowledge, personalised service, and access to hundreds of loan products from Australia's leading lenders. If you're in the market for buying your first home, looking for a better interest rate on your mortgage, renovating your home, or buying an investment property, my team and I will help you manage the process from start to finish. Avoid costly mistakes and expensive loan products. Contact our office on 9369 6805 or 0425 826 055.
Welcome to Anytime Fitness in Werribee.
The club with the most supportive, welcoming and friendliest members and staff.
Whether you're a first-timer, gym goer or just an everyday person, we are here for you.
A recently renovated facility offers you everything you need to get started with your health and fitness goals.
Our club offers brand new state-of-the-art cardio equipment, an amazing functional zone for group classes, a lifting zone, and really does cater for every single person. So don't miss out. Come see us in club before April 30th to redeem this offer.
That's right, folks. If you are in the market for a mortgage or currently have a mortgage and are just not happy with the way the interest rates are going up at the moment, talk to Andreas Guzman from Guzman Finance. He'll happily have a solution there for you. And as well, Steve, yourself and myself, we both enjoy our fitness, and it's getting harder and harder now with the colder weather. It's probably time to go indoors, and Anytime Fitness there at Werribee can certainly be the solution for you if you're around that area.
Absolutely. Proud member of the Anytime business myself. So, yeah, I just need to get along there a bit more often. But this weather, as you say, it might promote the indoor workouts. I got it pretty wet out on the run this morning, I must say.
Yeah, mate. We're talking now news desk time. Let's talk what's happening in the world of football. And then we're going to obviously do our usual Sunday night run around. Speaking of running around the various leagues in the competition. Tonight we'll be looking at NPL, men's NPL and men's NPL 3, men's State League 1. We also will be looking at the VPLW and NPLW women's competitions as well. But before we go down that path and look at things locally, let's talk about the news that's happening, well, nationally, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. Let's go to the domestic game. That's always a good way to kick us off if in doubt. And it is the A-League men's finals time now. The A-League women's have wrapped up last week, so now it's time for the guys to take the fore. And Adelaide United, in front of that parochial support that they get in that fantastic boutique stadium that they have, Cooper Stadium over there in Hindmarsh in Adelaide. 2-0 winners against the Wellington Phoenix. Couple of goals for Craig Goodwin, one on 19 minutes and a spot kick on the 67th, which that spot kick was certainly a bit of action from the super sub Nestor Irankunda getting involved to make that penalty come about for Craig Goodwin to tuck away. And that's the big news, I suppose, that Nestor Irankunda has been a subject of intense interest with European transfers, and he's going to be on his way to Bayern Munich after the conclusion of next season when he's old enough to travel over there. So that's a massive, what a massive club to come after a teenager, a schoolboy from Adelaide. It's a fantastic story, and probably.
Well, what are they talking? What are they talking about transfer fee wise though? Is there any talk yet at how much he could be going there for?
No, well, look, I'll have to take that on notice and we'll have to find out. But hopefully it would be a smart deal and, that they could include some add-ons if he's, has any future, transfers that they can take a cut of that. Maybe someone in the comments knows. If you followed this story a little bit closer than us and you've got some news in the comments, chuck it in. But from a Wellington Phoenix point of view, that's the end of their campaign. It's the end of the tenure of Ufuk Talay as their manager, so they'll be looking to bring in a new manager. And they do well with the resources that they have. Wellington Phoenix making the finals again this season, but they bow out, and Adelaide United will march on. And look, I actually out at a 30th birthday party last night, so I missed the big Sydney derby, but Western Sydney Wanderers pretty confident, playing pretty good football, opening the scoring this one. Schneiderlin from the spot on 39 minutes. And then from what I've heard, and I didn't get to watch, I'm not sure if you saw any, Tonch, but they were happy to sit back.
No, we had a party ourselves, so I didn't get a chance. No.
Oh, yeah. It's just always the good matches are on when, when there's social occasions on for you and I, Tonch. It's just, local social scene just takes the floor. But from what I'm hearing, they sat back a lot, and Robert Mack was the man to make the difference, scoring on 69, and then Adam Lafondra on 80 minutes, and a bit of a kerfuffle there as well. A bit of nastiness between the coaches, between Rudon and Corica. And then, of course, we've seen the footage come out today with Ninkovic looking to get into the Sydney Ruins, reportedly to congratulate his old teammates on their win. And he was frog marched out of there by a couple of hefty lads who said, "You're not coming in here for a chat." So, a little bit of bad blood there between those clubs as well. And, of course, the big story being the Cove not attending this match, staying away, protesting, watching it in the pub, because of the APL's grand final decision. You're one step ahead. You've got it on the screen. So I don't know what people's thoughts about that are, but I think, that we've seen this protest news has gone around the world, because we've seen, particularly in a country like Germany where the fan control of clubs is considered very important. Freiburg, the club, held up banners in their active and behind the goals in support of Sydney FC's decision and the Cove's decision not to turn up to the game. So the story doesn't just stop here. That goes around the globe, that story, because football is, is the world game, and fans hey.
Steve, look, my take on it is that the fans have been treated pretty badly. Yes, there's been an element of fans that have been behaving rather notoriously over the last couple of years. But if you look at the Melbourne supporter scenes, not the active supporter scene, but just the Melbourne supporter scene. The last derby was just woeful as far as crowds are concerned. Melbourne Victory's crowds have plummeted. Western United, well, their crowds have never really kind of developed, nor Melbourne City's. They've grown a little bit, but considering all the success they've had in recent years, they've really struggled. Look, in Adelaide, the crowds are really good. Great new stadium. The club supporters are very parochial. Sydney, not too bad, Obviously, last night I think it was 20,000. Was it? Crowd figure.
I don't know actually.
Which was not a bad figure, all things considering, yeah. But it could have been a lot more, and should have been a lot more. And the A-League I understand it. They got to look at it from a commercial perspective, the Australian Professional League, Footballers League. But they're fast losing connection with their fans. And I think the Sydney Cove are standing up in support of their fellow active supporters groups. And I think, I'd love to know what everyone else thinks. I know Brenton Ray's got his strong views on this. One of our regulars in the comments section, and those gents and ladies that are active in our comments section, what do you guys think? You've heard what we think or what I think. We'd love to know what you guys think.
Yeah, if I can throw my
Steve?
two bobs worth in, Tonch, as
Yeah,
well, I think
was
that
gonna ask you.
I think that the APL really has to swallow their pride, and they won't. But I think that they need to come out and make a statement and say we were wrong, and we sincerely apologise. I think that's the best thing that they could do to restore their reputation and admit. Just there's nothing wrong with admitting you make a mistake. We all make mistakes. I think they've made a mistake in not engaging with the fans before making a hugely significant decision. I might be stating the obvious, but that's how I feel. I would love to see a public apology and getting the fans on board and saying, like, what can we do to make you want to come back to the football? Because as you say, Honchi, people are not turning up in particularly big markets like Melbourne because they're completely disenfranchised with the competition and they're not feeling like they're a part of it. That aside, we'll look at next week's semi-finals. And unlike last year, Tonch, when the semi-finals were played in the two legs in the space of a week, these are spaced out a little bit further. They're going to be happening this weekend. So Sydney FC against Melbourne City, that's Friday night. Saturday night will be Adelaide United and the Central Coast. The second legs of those match will take place 7 days later, respectively, the following week, with the higher ranked team getting to play the home leg second up. So there you go. And they're going to be fighting out for a spot in the grand final, which will be on the 3rd of June, the Saturday evening at 7:45. So that's it, and great work with those slides, Tonchi. We didn't even discuss that, but we had a mind meld there. That's excellent. We should do this more often.
There you go. We should.
We must have been working together too long.
I reckon so. There's some sort of telepathy going on, folks. Steve organised the news tonight, and we really didn't sort of chat. We didn't have an opportunity to chat. He with his commentator commitments, and me with some other commitments as well. We weren't able to chat until about 5 minutes before we went on air. But there we go. The fruits of our labour. You can see the games being held next week in the. Oh, this is a mouthful. Isuzu Ute A-League Men's. Yep, is that right? I think I got it right. I hope I don't get sued for saying it wrong or whatever.
Once again.
Yeah, so next week, Sydney FC taking on Melbourne City. From us Victorians, I guess that's the only thing left that's interesting in the A-League, because we've got a Victorian representative. Unless you're a diehard Melbourne City fan and wanting to travel interstate, though, you probably won't be able to do that in the final, obviously. But there will be a game there. The second leg will be at Amy Park. So that's on Friday week, the 19th of May. But yeah, this Friday, Sydney FC taking on Melbourne City. And then on Saturday, we've got Adelaide United taking on Central Coast Mariners. So it'll be interesting to see if both those games attract good crowds. But let's hope that is the case.
Absolutely. All right. Now, have we got George in the green room yet, or should we push on and talk about some Australia?
Well, we've got.
If George is ready, we should just get him on the screen now.
Yeah.
Or after the break.
We've got. Yeah, we'll have a little bit of a chat about the Australia Cup coming up, and then we're going to have a bit of a break. We definitely have Manny Koutoulis, the Burundara Kerry Eagles coach. He's just entered the green room, so he's getting himself ready. So we're going to have a few games coming up this week. Midweek games in the Australia Cup. Should be some great games, no doubt. If you can get out to any of those, that'd be great.
Yeah,
to feed your midweek football appetite.
Well, Tonchi, there's one happening right near your place. North Geelong hosting Chisholm United on Tuesday at 8 o'clock at Alcoy Park. You might be able to just pop down there and have a look at the action there and see if the Warriors can get over the line.
Yeah, it depends if it's as cold as it is tonight. But that's an interesting game. Chisholm United, a team that have done really, really well, that have progressed to the latter stages of the Australia Cup competition. They are basically the younger sister club of Oakley Cannons, an affiliate club of the Oakley Cannons. And they, state 4 or something like that. So they've really worked their way up from state 5. And effectively, it was all of the younger players that could never make it at the Oakley Cannons once they've got through past the NPL 21 under 21s. And then this like a sister club affiliate was splintered off or formed, however you like. But they do share Jack Edwards Reserve. We'll talk about the NPL very, very shortly. But certainly North Geelong did not have a very good experience with the Oakley Cannons. So they'll be looking to exact some revenge against Chisholm United. That's on Tuesday night. And look, one thing about the North Geelong Warriors, they have introduced a lot of younger players, 16, 17-year-olds making their senior debut this year. No doubt they will be also giving them an opportunity on Tuesday. But have we got any other games, mate? Any other games that are certainly worth talking about?
So, look, we'll just touch on those teams that advanced last week. A lot of 1-0s. Avondale getting through. Whittlesea Rangers. Clifton Hill, a bit of a boil over against Port Melbourne Sharks there at JL Murphy. So, a bit of an upset. Good win for Clifton Hill. We spoke to their coach a little earlier in the season as well. South Springvale getting through by the odd goal in a bit of a 5-goal thriller. Goulburn Valley Suns making the trip down to play Laylaw United away, making their trip worthwhile with a win, as well as a win for Heidelberg United, a win for Dandenong City, St Albans, and Northcote City. And those matches, Wednesday night as well, Moreland City got through against Millbark, and the Brimbank Stallions knocked off Altona Magic. So a bit of an upset there as well with the Stallions getting through. They had a good cup run too last season. And this week, Tuesday night, we've got that game. You mentioned it. We mentioned at Elko Park, but also Hume City are hosting the Keilor Wolves, one of the strong state league clubs there, Keilor Wolves. Oakley Cannons and Dandenong Thunder, an all NPL top tier clash. Sky United against Yarraville. We'll speak about that a little later. Box Hill United against the Melbourne Knights. And Geelong Soccer Club are hosting Hampton East Brighton at Stead Park. Also, all those matches are Tuesday night. So check your local guides and get along to those ones. Some of them could be streamed perhaps as well, which might avoid having to go into the cold. Just keep an eye on your local broadcasting guides there. Some of these can happen at very, very late notice as well.
Yeah, I tell you what, there's just so many games and so many clubs now streaming games. It's great to see it. Absolutely fantastic to see. And a lot of the lower division games as well. Feel free to in the comments section if there's any streams coming up. Alex Sivkorovsky is quite active in our comments. If there's Alex is heavily involved in some of the streaming of some of the lower league games as well. But folks, let us know in the comments section if there are any games coming up that are being live streamed, whether it's midweek Australia Cup games, whether it's any of the league action coming up next weekend. But it's always good to sort of have that kind of almost like a centralized information source where you can find out all the latest. Folks, we're going to take a very quick break. When we return, it's the first of our guests coming up, and that looks like will probably be NPL 3 Burundara Kerry Eagles coach Manny Koutoulis. He'll be joining us to talk about his team's performance in the NPL 3 Victoria competition in the season thus far. Don't go away, folks. It is the Football Out West show with Steve and Tonchi.
Carpentry by NJT is based in the western suburbs and has many years of experience to assist you in sourcing any and all of your carpentry needs. Carpentry by NJT are great supporters of local soccer clubs in Melbourne's western suburbs, including ambitious State League 1 outfit, Sydenham Park Soccer Club. Home Builders Corp, meanwhile, is a Melbourne-based construction company by the same owners with more than 15 years' experience. Home Builders Corp specialises in new homes and unit developments. With attention to detail, they work to the highest standard to satisfy their customers with a very quick turnaround. For further details about how either Carpentry by NJT or Home Builders Corp can help you, contact owner-manager Nick on 0410 576 018 or via email at nick@homebuilderscorp.com.au. Carpentry by NJT and Home Builders Corp are the proud major sponsors of the Football Out West show.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. As we said, proud sponsors NJT Carpentry and Home Builders Corp. Nick Trychevsky there. He'll look after you for all your construction needs. But it's time now to introduce our very first guest for tonight. And this is a very interesting one we want to know about. Newly promoted to NPL 3 Victoria this year. They're doing quite well, and they had sort of an up and down season, but for their first season in the top flight, or the third tier of the top flight, the NPL competition, this club is doing very, very well. And to tell us all about it, the coach of the Burundara Kerry Eagles, Manny Koutoulis, he'll be joining us. Manny, how are you? And welcome to the Football Out West show. No, his audio's not working. Uh-oh. It might be something in the settings, Manny. We'll try and get you on.
Keep working at that. We'll get Manny's audio working in no
Yeah.
time. I'm sure we'll just have to tweak a couple of things. Let's go to the ladder.
Let's go to the ladder. Let's go to the results there, and hopefully we might be able to get Manny on in some way in the next minute or so. But Steve, have you got the results of the latest round of matches in the NPL 3 Victoria competition?
I do, mate. I do. And it's been another big round in the comp. What are we up to now? That was round 8. So it started Friday evening, Box Hill United, 3-1 winners at home against Doveton. Spoils were shared yesterday between the North Sunshine Eagles and the Goulburn Valley Suns, 1-1. Caroline Springs back on the winners list, 4-1 against Bow Morris yesterday.
Yeah.
Aha. I think we've got Manny. Yeah,
I was just about to say the result from Manny's match at Geelong yesterday as well, but we've got him on. He might be able to tell us. Should I just finish off those scores?
Yeah,
Essendon Royals 2-1 against Ballarat City. Ballarat City now find themselves rooted to the bottom of the table. Nunawading City 2-1 winners against Melbourne Victory in a top of the table clash yesterday. Those teams sit 1-2. Melbourne Victory still sitting in first place ahead of Nunawading by just the 1 point though now. But we have got Manny on the screen. His audio is working, and he's just back from a trip to Stead Park last night. And how did that all go, mate? Was it a long one for you? And did Geelong's weather turn on and be its absolute finest?
Good evening, Steve and Tonchi. Apologies for the audio earlier, right. But thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for having me on the show. And look, yesterday evening was a tight draw between the two teams, and the weather wasn't very pleasant, that's for sure. And I've got a nice cough the day after to show for it. So I'm going to try and stay clear of any cough fits during the next 15 minutes.
Mate, I'll tell you what, we're talking about that. I had a bout of sinusitis during the week, and I was just coming good. And then this morning I was coaching my little boys under 12 team, 12 game at 10 o'clock. It was about 7 degrees. I think it's come back. I think it's absolutely come back. So I totally get it. And Stead Park, yeah, it can be the coldest place. I'll tell you what, at times.
Can it what?
Let's talk about the game itself. Geelong are quite difficult to play at home. Teddy Latomansky, the coach there, he's got them well drilled, and they're quite a well-organised unit at Stead Park. But yeah, how did you find them firstly coming up against them on their home patch?
Yeah, I think they are a good team. They play some good football, and without a doubt, they're very, very difficult to beat over there. So yeah, I found it quite a challenging match, and we had a few forced changes going into the game. But I think that we stayed pretty stable throughout the match. We had a few chances. They did too. And in the end, I think it's probably not too bad a result, taking a point away to Geelong. I think absolutely many have found it difficult there in the past, and probably more will down the future this season.
And Manny, the changes from going up from State League 1, is the football different, or does it sort of vary week to week being in NPL 3? And how does the club adapt to that promotion and the extra challenges of that?
Yeah, I think it's a good league. I think we can see that there are clubs in that league that are very well resourced. And obviously it's a pleasure to go and visit some of them. And there's some good grounds, some good pitches to play on, and some good football played. So yeah, look, I think you can see there are well-resourced clubs in this division. Some of them have some real ambition. So yeah, it's a really good challenge that we've encountered so far, and so far we are going okay.
Manny, despite all that, I mean, yeah, you're newly promoted, and what you're not to the and there are a lot of teams there that are well resourced. Nonetheless, you're doing really well. Like if we look at that ladder again, you must be kicking yourself a little bit because 2 points dropped or 1 point gained, however you want to look at it. But a victory last night would have almost got you within 3 points of that promotion spot, I suppose. Is that something that's really taken you guys aback? Your success in the NPL 3 competition so far, or has this been quite planned and meticulously thought out?
It hasn't taken me back personally, because I really believe in the players. So I said to them at the start that we've come out of state league having enormous success during that full promotion run, and we're going to go again and approach every week the same, and that is that we've got to believe in the players, and and I've never met a coach who's happy losing. I'm certainly not. So every game we go in, really desperate to win, and wanting to do well. That's been the approach every week. So I think my belief in them is quite strong, and I think I'm overly I'd be quite pleased so far with how things are going.
And Manny, at the club as well, there's a really good women's program at the moment as well, and the girls are flying. They're top of the league in the NPLW after being promoted, probably against all odds as well. We've got a table there that shows they're a couple of points ahead of Alamein and South Melbourne. They got a win today against Preston, 3-1. There's still one game to come this weekend, FC Bulleen Lions and Alamein tomorrow night. But there was a win for Bayside against Box Hill United, a draw for FB Emerging, and Calder 1-1, and then the other match, Heidelberg and Southern United. I have to chase up that score. I actually don't have that, but the girls are flying. Is that something that helps morale around the club as well? That they're doing so well in the top tier of women's football. Does that help your men's squad as well? Do you think in a way, one way or another?
Yeah, look, absolutely. The women's program is one that we celebrate at Boroondara Eagles. We have celebrated that for a very long time. In fact, our club was firstly known for success at senior level thanks to the women. If you go back to before it was WNPL, I think we dropped down a division after we weren't considered complying from FE, but we had dropped down the league, having finished second, lost in a grand final in penalties. We'd won the cup final that year, but since then we've stayed strong, and we've won 3 state one titles in a row without gaining promotion. So we're not surprised that they're doing well there. We've got some good players, got a good coach, and absolutely the community is behind them, and very, very pleased with their run. And the men too. I mean, the men, everyone's quite connected with each other at the club, and the men have gone across to some of their games, and they come and watch ours. So it's a really good vibe around the place.
Yeah, good to see, mate. Good to see. Look, I must admit, I don't know too much about the Boroondara Carey Eagles. I did run into 2 of the ladies' players, Emily Sutcliffe and Christy Mary from down Geelong way. They were at one of the State League 1 women's games earlier this afternoon, and they'll just tell me how much they love. They don't only enjoy the trip from Geelong, which probably takes them an hour and 5 hours in peak time, but peak hour. But they did say they were really enjoying the club atmosphere. They're loving the highest standard and just the vibe around the club. So tell us a little bit about your club, and what are some of the plans going forward? Because it's been quite a quick jump to the higher NPL competitions. What are the plans going forward as far as a strategic plan over the next few years?
Yeah, look, it's a very good club. It's a big club. There's 800 registrations at Boroondara.
Oh my gosh, serious?
800. So I want to be up there in Victoria in terms of those numbers. So I've got to say it's always had a very stable board. That's been a real strength for the club, and we've been a place for everybody. Whether you're A comp, B comp, C comp. Everyone's. It's a very inclusive club.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people come back with a lot of good feedback about us. And in terms of our strategic direction, I think absolutely we want to keep pushing both senior teams, but we want to keep pushing our juniors. We'll probably look at a possibility of an NPL license in the future.
Yep.
We'll keep pushing our community. The majority of our program is a community program, so we'll continue to push and to celebrate giving a go to everybody that comes through the door. And look, and I think we're just probably short having that elusive ground all year round for our men, women, boys, girls. We have a winter tenancy. So at the moment, we've been working with council to get that elusive ground all year round. And if we get that, I think we should really just go from strength to strength. So I think that's a real key, just getting that all year round home.
Yeah, and how's the venue holding up there? You're playing out of the Wilcox Field in the Carey Sports Complex in Bulleen. How does that hold up to the heavy rain? Was that one of those places that was underwater last October when we had all the rain come through there? And what happens in pre-season? Do you have to go off and train elsewhere when there's cricket or something else taking place? And how do you go with all of those 800 registered players, getting them onto the field for training each week?
Geez, where do I start with that? Yes.
Sorry, that was a bit of a touchy question. Sorry about that, Matty.
You've done well there, Steve. Look, we...
I'm just spinning out about the 800 registrations. That's massive.
It was so the first question. So yes, it was flooded in October. The complex was closed. So a lot of hard work to get that back up. If you were to visit the Carey Sports Complex in Wilcox Field, you'd find an absolutely fantastic playing surface there. It's a great facility. So it's holding up really well. It looks fantastic at the moment. It wasn't passed for NPLW, so we're playing at Veneto. Our women play at Veneto, and that's a great facility, and we thank them for their work there. And pre-season, it is challenging not having that ground all year round. That's why I say that, it's in terms of strategy, that's the big box to tick. We had to train at various venues. We trained at Carey at times. We trained in Baldwin. We trained at Knox. We trained at Darebin. So there was a little bit of a mixed bag for both the men and women. But look, everyone stayed positive, coaches and players, and both teams have gotten off to a good start. So that's okay.
All right, well, quickly have a look at round 9 fixtures coming up next week. Ballarat City are at home to Box Hill United. Beau Morris taking on North Sunshine Eagles at home. Goulburn Valley Suns entertain Nunawading City. Caroline Springs George Cross are at home to Doveton. These are all Saturday games. And then on Sunday, Melbourne Victory hosting Geelong at Epping Stadium. But on Saturday at Wilcox Field at 3 p.m, Burundara Carey Eagles taking on Essendon Royals. Essendon Royals, they had a good win on the weekend. They've struggled this year, but obviously you don't want to be complacent. You don't want to sort of look ahead and say, yep, 3 points guaranteed. How are you going to approach this weekend's game, Maddie?
Absolutely, without complacement. Essendon Royals, for me, are a strong squad. And I felt, looking at this comp at the start of the year, I felt that, Essendon Royals are very well resourced. They're a very strong club. I know a few people that have been there in the past, there now, and I think it's a really, really big game for both clubs this week. Essendon Royals have got a win now, so they may look at starting to build some momentum. So I think it's a really, really big game this week, and it's a club that it's a team that Essendon Royals you could see them in such a different position in the next 7 weeks. I think they're absolutely capable. We know that this week's a really big game at home and a challenging one.
Good on you. Well, mate, we wish you all the very best, and we look forward to maybe even getting you back later on in the year to see how those 800 plus registered players are going. But I can't get over it. That's an incredible.
We need to get out to Wilcox Field and check out this operation of 800 players.
I do know.
Surface. I think it sounds like a place to be.
Yeah, I do know Brighton Soccer Club is like a big club. They've got like close to 1,000 people. I don't know, but geez, I tell you what, Burundara Kerry Eagles mustn't be that far behind. So well done to yourself and everyone there at the club. But Manny, good luck for the rest of the year.
No worries. Come out to Macleay Park where the juniors are. You can come out to the seniors at Wilcox, but Steve, come out and see us at Macleay Park in Bulwer North. It's a great place, and you'll be very, very welcome. We'll be waiting for you. And
do you do a good coffee out there in the canteen as well?
That's all that matters on a night like today. Yeah,
absolutely. Coffee's on us.
Absolutely. Oh, there you go. Good on you, Manny. Thanks
Manny.
very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Lovely gentleman. Manny,
that was a good chat with Manny.
Yeah, Manny let me get this right. Koutroulis. He's the coach of the Burundara Kerry Eagles NPL 3 men's team. We're going to take a very, very quick break. Hopefully when we return, we'll have George KATSAKIS from Heidelberg United. They had a really big win on the weekend as well. We'll also be going through the NPL 2 competition as well. So, folks, don't go away. We'll be back very, very shortly.
At Guzman Finance, like you, we are passionate about the western suburbs and football. Our main passion, however, is helping customers succeed in their financial goals. As trusted mortgage brokers, we offer knowledge, personalised service, and access to hundreds of loan products from Australia's leading lenders. If you're in the market for buying your first home, looking for a better interest rate on your mortgage, renovating your home, or buying an investment property, my team and I will help you manage the process from start to finish. Avoid costly mistakes and expensive loan products. Contact our office on 9369 6805 or 0425 826 055.
Welcome back to the Football Out West show. We're still awaiting the arrival of our next guest, George KATSAKIS from Heidelberg United, and we'll also be speaking to Paul AGATHOULI, the Yarraville Glory coach, a little bit later on. But this gives us an opportunity to go through that competition we call the competition of chaos, if you like, the NPL 2 Victoria competition. Man, and this week, wow, some of the results that happened this week, Steve, unbelievable. Like fair income, really nuts games. Let's go through some of those results. Round 12 of the NPL 2 Victoria competition.
Yeah, a packed schedule on Friday night, and that's what I love. I think you were saying this earlier, Tonchi, as well, that you can often get online, and if they're not being covered by NPL TV, a lot of the Facebook streams have got these games, so you're able to follow this league quite well. And Friday night, Dandenong City at home, 3-0 against the Bulleen Lions. It was an away win for the Eastern Lions, 2-1 at BT Connor against Preston Lions. So a little bit of an upset there with the Eastern Lions getting over the line. So big crowd went home a little disappointed after that Lions derby. Brunswick City getting a win in a bit of a local derby as well on Friday night against Pascoe Vale, 1-0 winners there. And Langwarrin in a seesawing match, 3-2 over Werribee City also on Friday. And then yesterday, Manningham United Blues 1, Kingston City 2. So Kingston City just moving along nicely in second place on the table today. Northcote City 1-0 winners against Western United there at City Vista, and Melbourne City's NPL side, which I think is pretty stacked at the moment because they're just trying to keep their fringe players of the A-League side in touch in case they need it for the finals. 3-2 against the Moreland Zebras, or so should I say Brunswick Juventus. So they end up finding themselves at the wrong end of the table, the Brunswick Juventus there. But yeah, good win for Melbourne City. A difficult opponent because you just don't know what sort of quality team they're going to put out each week.
Yeah.
But only losing by the odd goal there, Moreland's Brunswick Juventus. Damn.
Yeah. Now, if we look at the ladder there, it's really congested, particularly across the middle. Like, it just takes a run of one win or two wins or whatever, and you'll just go, catapult yourself up several spots up the ladder. But Preston Lions, despite their loss, they're on 24 points at the moment. Kingston City are moving in now into second spot. Western United, having lost that, they're on the same amount of points as Eastern Lions. And Dandenong City have made a bit of a jump as well. So Northcote City, Langwarrin, they're on the same amount of points. But at the other end of the competition standings, the two Italian clubs, Bulleen Lions and Brunswick Juventus, that is a bit of a surprise. I'm sure that's going to change. But at the moment, They occupy the 2 bottom spots. If we have a look at the competition fixtures for round 13, and that starts off this Friday night. Werribee City at home to Pascoe Vale. And Pascoe Vale are really wounded. They've had a few losses in the last few weeks, Steve. And I'll tell you what, Werribee City, they'll be kicking themselves after leading against Langwarrin that they didn't go on and get all 3 points. But they're at home at Costas Mitre 10 Park this Friday night. Big, important game for both teams. But, Werribee City will be really, really keen to get a win here and overtake Pascoe Vale. And Pascoe Vale, 3 weeks ago, they were almost 3-4 weeks ago in a promotion spot. Now look at them. They're in kind of 9th spot on the ladder.
Yeah, it can change very quickly, can't it? When you see that midsection of the table there's not a lot between, Pascoe Vale on 17 points and then, Dandenong City on 20 and then, like Eastern Lions and West United on 21 each. That's only, it's not a huge gap between 9th and 3rd, fair to say there. So you can see that if you do have a couple of bad results, you can find yourself falling like a stone. And that is the nature of this Chaos League.
Isn't it?
But look, by the end of the season, it could be like flipped on its head again. That could happen. There's only 12 rounds gone. It's a long way to go. We don't know what's going to happen. But one thing's for sure, it will keep us guessing every week. And really, if you want to have a good evening on a Friday and just see some good action, it seems like the place to be with all of these Friday night games, Monday night games especially as well. To get along. Unfortunately, I'm busy this Friday. A bit devastated about that, but I will make time to get to an NPL game. I'm going to Preston Lions and Pascoe Vale back in round 1, and it just really, really good night out.
Yeah. Now, other games on Friday night: Brunswick Juventus hosting Langwarrin at CB Smith Reserve, and then at John Cain Memorial Park, Northcote City are at home to Manningham United Blues. So 2 important games there. Moving along to Saturday, Eastern Lions and Dandenong City. Now, this is going to be a perler out at Gardeners Creek Reserve on Saturday afternoon. That's at 3 p.m. Now, this is a big game for both teams. Eastern Lions win, they'll be on 24 points. Look where Preston are. Dandenong City win, they'll be on 23 points. Look where Kingston City are. So lots could happen there. Kingston City are at home to Melbourne City, that resurgent Melbourne City we talk about. So it's not a straightforward game, this one. 2nd versus 12th. That one's at the Grange Reserve at 4 p.m. And then Brunswick City taking on Preston Lions at CB Smith Reserve. That's at 8 p.m. So CB Smith Reserve is going to...
That's the place to be on Saturday night, I think. That ground is, as we've said earlier on the show, that ground is seeing some traffic.
Isn't it? Yeah. Isn't it ever?
It's Burke Street, that venue.
Absolutely. And then on Sunday afternoon at City Vista Pavilion, home of Caroline Springs George Cross, co-tenants Western United will take on Bulleen Lions. So that's going to be a very important game for Western United to win if they want to maintain pace with the promotion setters. But also for Bulleen, they need to start getting points as quickly as possible. So there's some really, really important games there. Let's now turn our attention to the NPL Victoria competition and the results firstly with, which concluded today. But let's start on Friday night, some of the games that were played on Friday night.
So we had the Oakley Cannons 5-0 winners against North Geelong at Jack Edwards. Goals for guest Valentini Decker and a couple for the Queensland import Alex Figner. And there was a bit of an upset win for Heidelberg United, getting back on the winners list, 1-0 against a Green Gully side that didn't feature Pierce Waring or Luke Diego. Kane Shepherd getting his scoring boots on from the spot to seal that one on 61 minutes there. I guess it was a case of cometh the man, cometh the hour, basically on the hour there as well. So we've got a bit of footage of that too. Should we let that play out, or will I just push on to the next?
No, just keep pushing
scores?
on.
We'll push on. So on Saturday, we had Altona Magic also getting back on the winners list. Tommy Semi and Sian Cuba scoring. Christos Theodorakopoulos for the Bentley Greens. But Altona on the road, 2-1 winners. Port Melbourne getting themselves back up the table. Chris Duggan with the double. Daniel Edwards as they went 3-0 over Hume City. A workman-like result. Evaro Nepomuceno getting the Knights a win down at Dandenong Thunder, and then St Albans as well. A lot of these teams having not won for a while, getting themselves back on the winners list today. Joey Kalina, Michael Gergic, and Ivan Razmic scoring as they put 3 past Moreland City. And Craig Fowler and I were on hand to watch this one. It was first versus second, the best defense against the best attack, and the best was what won out. Max Mikola converting a penalty on 31 minutes. And once South had the game on their terms, they went on with it. And Ajak Riak, who actually won that penalty, then went on to play a key role in what ended up being an own goal by Aidan Bryce. And then Riak got himself officially on the score sheet on 74 minutes to seal a 3-1 win. And it means that South Melbourne move up equal on points with Avondale, just behind on goal difference. But yeah, South Melbourne just too good defensively on their home patch again. And looking forward to speaking to George, because his team is the only side that's beaten South Melbourne this season.
Yeah, and we've got George KATSAKIS, on joining us here. George, good evening and welcome to the Football Out West show. Welcome back. Actually, we had you last year, so mate, great win on Friday night against Green Gully. We saw some footage there. We might even play it up again, but a very, very important win in the context of the season.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Good to be back. Always enjoy being on your program. It was a big win. Unfortunately for us, we were able to get all points, so all 3 points. Obviously, it hasn't been a great start to the season with a few things going wrong, of course. But I just feel that we're finding our way at the moment. We're getting through this patch that we've had, this purple patch. But yeah, look, it's looking a lot better and a lot stronger at the moment. So I'm really hoping to see a better Heidelberg outfit in the second part of the season.
And George, was there something about this match against Green Gully at home on Friday night that was the most pleasing aspect of it for you after what's been, like as you mentioned, a difficult season so far?
Oh, look, I think just three points was important because we've been thereabouts over the last three games in the competition. Yep. We've only managed to pull off 2 points out of the 6 against North Geelong and Moreland, where we had a lot of possession, numerous opportunities, and couldn't get maximum points. So more important, it was just good to see 3 points in the bag at home. Of course, coming off a midweek Australia Cup game at Kingston, which of course took its toll. It was never going to be an easy game. I think Kingston's probably one of the most informed teams in NPL 2 at the moment, and it was always going to be tough to go there and do what we did. But fortunately for us, we were able to get the 3 points there, or move into the next, or progress into the next phase of this competition, and get 3 points on Friday night.
Now, George, we've obviously had a lot of talk in recent months about the national second division, about a second tier competition that's going to go national, and I guess progressing through to the latter stages of the Australia Cup is important in that regards. And but another thing is this week coming up. In round 13 action, you're going to Summer Street to take on Melbourne Knights. And for all the fans of the old NSL, how many great games over the years involved the two teams, Melbourne Knights and Heidelberg United. But moving to the present, it's an important game. But Melbourne Knights have been doing really well, although they seem to be really carving out, 1-0, 2-1 results and things like that. On their own home turf, though, they must be a very, very tough team to come up against. What are you going to do to prepare for this one?
Oh, look, I think we just got to do what we've been doing for the last month or so. We've got all our numbers back, we've got all our personnel back, and we just work with our strengths. I'm a strong believer of working to our strengths and not really worrying too much about the opposition. Of course, you do your homework and everything else that comes with it, but it's important that you execute your strengths before you start analysing anybody else. And I think if we're able to stay focused in what we need to do, and I know we will talk about Melbourne Knights in terms of where their strengths are. If we're able to execute our game plan, I think it's going to be a great game. But rightly so, I think over the journey, the Melbourne Knights Heidelberg games as the South Melbourne Heidelberg and South Melbourne Knights game, they've been a huge part of the NSL, a huge part of our football fraternity in this country. Yeah, never alone for Victoria. So we're treating this as a massive derby. I've got a couple of ex-boys in the French brothers that were with us only last year. They're obviously, I think they're celebrating their 65-year anniversary, or 75 it might be. Yep. But nevertheless, I think it's still a big game, and we'll definitely have to be on our best behaviour to get maximum points.
Now, George, one of my favourite players to watch in your squad there would probably be Owen Ashton. He's such a good impact player when he comes on and always seems to make a difference. He suffered a bit of a nasty injury in the midweek, I think it was. How is he going? Is he going to be all right?
Yeah, look, Owen's come back really good. He's unfortunately for Owen, he had a bit of a heart scare, a heart murmur. We're still a little bit unsure as to what may have brought this on, but he went to hospital, of course. The game was delayed by almost an hour. He's gone through all the relevant tests. He's come back clear. So he's back on the paddock tomorrow, and hopefully he eases himself in. And if all going well, he'll be available for selection on Friday night. So, he is a great impact player. He's a great kid that we've brought along. He's been part of this journey for the last 3 years, and each year you can just see the improvement in Owen and the maturity in his football, in his footballing aspect. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Owen develop as a senior player over the next year or two at Heidelberg, and along with all the others that have been part of this great journey, he'll make his presence felt for sure.
Yeah. We're speaking with George KATSAKIS from Heidelberg United. We'll also be speaking to Yarraville Glory coach Paul AGATHOULI, who's just joined us in the green room. He'll be coming up very, very shortly. But in the meantime, George, we were speaking to the Burundara Carey Eagles coach, Manny Koutroulis, earlier. And we found out that they've got like 800 plus player registrations, and their women's team are doing really well in the NPLW competition. But Heidelberg now for many, many years have had a presence in the NPLW competition, and the women's team this year not doing too badly. They're sort of mid-table at the moment. But it's been an exciting time at Olympic Village. Obviously, the women are in the NPLW, you're in the NPL competition, and then obviously all the big ground improvements happening at Olympic Village, the master plan for the reserve. Obviously, the talk with the National Second Division, I go back onto that. It must be a really exciting time to be a Burger, to be part of the Heidelberg United family.
Oh, look, I think it's an exciting time. All the things that you've just mentioned, along with a lot of success over the last 3 or 4 years. So I should say, I keep forgetting the COVID seasons, but prior to COVID, there was 3 or 4 seasons there that we were very successful on the pitch. It was obviously time to get successful off the pitch. We've got a great board leading that, and especially the president, Steve Talakides. He's right onto it. He's just not holding back. He's going full steam ahead. And one of the things that he keeps saying to me, he goes, "Cats, it's not always about what we put out on the park. It's what we give back to our community." And that's what I want to do. I want to leave a legacy behind, knowing that I've improved the facility for our elderly, our members, and more importantly for the kids coming through. And we've got a huge member base of junior football as well as mini roos. They're all coming through. So, we're setting the foundation, and that's what it's about. It's setting that foundation and make it possible for the ones that come in over the next journey, over the next 10 to 15 years. So, hopefully we can set ourselves in the right path, in the right avenue. Make sure that we prepare correctly for a B League. Hopefully, we're one of the successful nominees, and then we can start to really put ourselves about again, as we did back in the glory days of the NSL.
And also to mention, I suppose, George, the club really showcasing itself really well in the Australia Cup. I went along and saw your game against Brisbane Roar not too long ago, and just a really good night and a good celebration of football, NPL Victoria and the club, and some of the past greats being there as well. And, it was probably a place where maybe spectators weren't so keen to go as much in the past, but now it's certainly a good place to go and watch football and enjoy and have a good experience. But one question I wanted to ask you, though, was you're the only team to do this season, and that's to defeat South Melbourne, and you did it, I believe, at their ground too. What is the key to getting through their defence? Because I was there calling the game today, and I called a game there when they held a clean sheet as well against the Bentley Greens recently. Their defence looks impenetrable, but how can teams get past South Melbourne? They seem just too good in defence.
Yeah, look, Steve, I think we were right on our game on that day, but more importantly, we worked on a couple of key factors. One of the key factors was that, we prepared along the lines of them not being able to cope with their own game plan, and defensively, they struggle when teams go long or in behind, and we had Kenny Athew and both Kane Shepherd, well on their game that weekend, and they were the catalyst to starting that, and of course, it's not one of my. I don't like to play that sort of football at the moment, but I thought, maybe the only way we can combat that is going according to what they do, and they tend to go long and direct. So we thought we'll test it out and see whether they can cope with their own game plan. And of course, we broke through a couple of times. It possibly could have been a third or a fourth goal, and it was probably one of our better wins, to be honest, during the season. And I find it quite alarming now that teams like Avondale and teams who have been scoring lots of goals weren't able to penetrate or break them down and score. So, maybe we're not that bad after all. Maybe the Burgers got off to a slow start. We had our fair excuses of lots of injuries.
Yeah.
We've now seemed to stabilise the team, and we're a little bit more consistent with our personnel. So hopefully in the second part of the season we can start to make ground on those teams and hopefully have another finals campaign.
Well, George, you beat one NSL former NSL club, South Melbourne, another one on the weekend in Green Gully, and this time you're coming up against a third one in the Melbourne Knights this Friday night at Knights Stadium. Should be an absolute fantastic game at 7:30 p.m. Get yourself out to Knights Stadium. If not, then jump on the NPL.TV live stream. But in the meantime, George, thank you once again for being on the show. We always enjoy chatting to you all things Heidelberg, and wishing you all the very best for the season ahead.
Thanks, gentlemen. Really appreciate it, and good luck with your show, and I hope everything goes well for you.
Good on you.
Thanks George,
buddy.
and you too.
Cheers.
All the best, mate.
Cheers.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a very, very short break. I mean, super short break. When we return, it's time. Super short break. Yeah, say that 10 times really quickly. And when we return, we'll be talking State League 1 men's football with the coach of the Yarraville Glory, Paul AGATHOULI, who is ready and waiting to jump on. Don't go away, folks.
Welcome to Anytime Fitness in Werribee.
The club with the most supportive, welcoming and friendliest members and staff.
Whether you're a first-timer, gym goer or just an everyday person, we are here for you.
A recently renovated facility offers you everything you need to get started with your health and fitness goals.
Our club offers brand new state-of-the-art cardio equipment, an amazing functional zone for group classes, a lifting zone, and really does cater for every single person. So don't miss out. Come see us in club before April 30th to redeem this offer.
Welcome back.
Sure.
I told you that was quick. It was so quick it almost caught me off guard, that's for sure. It's time to talk State League 1 football, State League 1 men's football. And on the weekend, it was a very good win by Yarraville Glory, who defeated Whittlesea United 2-0, I think it was, the score there. And we've got the coach of Yarraville Glory, Paul AGATHOULI, on joining us live here on the Football Hour Show. Paul, welcome to the show. How are you?
Gents, how are you? Very well, thank you.
And let's go straight into it. Your home match on Friday night at Mackay Reserve. Did the elements hold out for very long in that one? And your defence definitely held out. So some things must have gone to plan in that one with the 2-0 win and the clean sheet.
Yeah, well, it's been good the last fortnight. Two games where both clean sheets, which is good. Early on, we was conceding goals early on in the season, but we've tightened that up, and obviously we come away with a 2-0 result on Friday night. Weather-wise was, started off dry, and then rain came down and went, rain for about 80 minutes. But the boys did quite well and got the result.
Yeah, so it was a 2-0 win there over Whittlesea United. In other games, this was played on Saturday. Brimbank Stallions defeated Upfield 3-0. Corio, their first win of the season to get off the bottom of the ladder, defeating Whittlesea Rangers 4-0, including a 20-metre scorcher from Vedran Stojanovic. That was one of those games, CV, you talk about. It was live streamed as well.
I saw that clip of that goal. What a beauty. There was a commentator as well. He just referred to Vedran as the big man, which was great.
The big man. Now, Strathmore, I think, defeated Banyule City. Was it 2-1? I can't remember. I don't know what the score was right here, but I do know they did win. 3-2 it was. Sydenham Park also 3-2 winners over Westgate, and Altona City 1-0 over Keilor Park. That was a good close game, top versus second bottom, and it was just 1-0. So it's a funny competition, Paul. It seems to me on any day, we talk about NPL 2 being the competition of chaos, but Men's State 1, as we've seen by some of these results, there's no clear favourite, is there? Even though Altona City at the moment are dominating.
Yeah, well, on any given day this year, especially, we've seen that the league's very even. So even teams sitting down below down the bottom of the ladder can, surprise you on your day if you're not up to it.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. Altona City's run away with the lead so far, but it's still early. We're third into the season. Still many games to go. A lot of work to be done. But yeah, like I said, any given day, if your boys don't wake up in the morning the right way, you get punished. It's been good. Been happy. The boys are putting in the effort, and there's belief in the team. So it's been good.
And Paul, it's a big week for the club. You've got a Australia Cup game Tuesday night at Sky United. Check your mailways as to how to get there. That's certainly not in Football Out West heartland, that location, Sky Recreation Reserve. How are you preparing for fitting that in a midweek context? I suppose it's good that you played on Friday. You have an extra day.
On Friday, we're out on Tuesday on Australian Cup, and then backing up again on Saturday. So it's 3 games in 8 days. But we've got the squad to be able to play on Tuesday night. We'll rotate a few boys, have a few boys fresh for, obviously, Saturday's trip to Corio. But, Sky United, haven't heard much of them. I know from the southeast, which, like you said, get the mailway out, find out where they are.
Use mailways. Come on, guys.
It's
on Google Maps
for us older people, isn't it? If you told your playing squad to get
the
mailways out, they wouldn't know what it was.
So Tuesday night, hopefully the weather holds up again. It's not another wet night, so it won't be heavy on the boys and that. But it's good that the club's progressing, which is good for the club and good exposure. Obviously, I've been told that this Tuesday, if we end up going through to the next round, it's the furthest the club's been.
Really?
Which will be good for the club. So, now I think we're into the last 20 or it is in Victoria, and see how we go from there.
Now, Paul, that's an interesting one, because obviously a lot of the clubs, particularly the bigger clubs, as you go up the pyramid, often use these Australia Cups as opportunities to use younger players, bleed players that haven't really been given an opportunity. But as you said, now you're faced with this historical moment of, if you get through to the next round, this could be big for the club. You'll be creating history. But you've also got a big game against Corio on the road next week. What do you do there? Do you now juggle some of the players, the fringe players, or do you put your first string starting 11 on Tuesday?
We actually announced a squad just before I came online to the boys, so they're well aware that we're resting a few boys and rotating the squad. Obviously, we're looking forward ahead to Saturday. Obviously, result-wise, we want a good, positive result on Tuesday. But, the season's what our main aim is this year. So there's a few young boys as well on Tuesday night, a few boys who deservedly will get a run, who have been, playing and training with the reserves during the season. So, and Tuesday, Thursday nights and that. So we will use a few of them, which will be good for them as well. We are a relatively young squad as it is. We're an average age of about 24 this year, which is quite young. But we'll bring in some younger boys as well this Tuesday night and have the team freshened up for Saturdays at Corio.
And how's the venue going there at Mackay Reserve? I know the club's got a bit of a partnership with South Melbourne this year, and South Melbourne's played an NPLW game already there this season. Has there been is this warranted any upgrades or anything? Can you wrangle any improvements at the venue there, or is everything just all speak and span already?
Well, no, the venue's like the playing surface is magic. It's probably one of the best surfaces in the league. There is obviously a master plan with our club as well. The next 3 to 4 years, working with council as well. We looking getting 2 or 3 new grounds built on the outside. A new pavilion. New pavilion. So the work that the board's done with the council has been good. Partnership with South, it's been good. We've actually hosted 2 21 games in the men's under 21s, women's WNPL game as well, and I believe we've got another 4 or 5 21 games being hosted at our ground at MacGyver Reserve. So it's good for both ways. It's working well for both South and us. And they also had a mini carnival a few weeks ago where they had the women's 21s and the 19s. So it was a 3-game triple header at our club. So it's been good.
Fantastic, yeah. All right, well, let's have a look at some of the other games coming up in Men's State League 1. It kicks off on Friday night. Whittlesea Rangers taking on Bank Stallions. Upfield up against Westgate. And then Whittlesea United at home to Altona City. So 3 Friday night games. We've spoken about Corio taking on Yarraville down at Hume Reserve. That's at 3 p.m. kickoff. And then we've got Sydenham Park taking on Banyule City and Keilor Park at home to FC Strathmore. So it should be a very, very interesting week coming up ahead. Busy one for you, Paul, but that's we who are in football love it that way. So looking forward to a lot of midweek games. And then obviously the cup game next week. I might actually get out to Hume Reserve next Saturday. So if I do, I'll have to say a special hello there to yourself, Paul. But wishing you all the best for the season ahead and for the week ahead, definitely.
Much appreciated, boys, and thank you for the invite.
Thanks for your time, Paul. All the best.
Thank you.
That was Paul AGATHOULI from Yarraville Glory. Charming man there. And Yarraville are doing a very, very good job. And it's great to see clubs really, really going along well. Ground improvements, Burundara Kerry Eagles, one club we had tonight. They're just growing massively, enjoying a lot of on-field success, but also off-field success. Then we saw Heidelberg United. They've got a big master plan. They're looking with one eye on the National Second Division. And then we just found out, folks, Yarraville Glory, they've got a master plan in the next 2 to 3 years. Construction should be starting on ground improvements there.
Yeah, good news there. Good news. Bit of space there behind just to the north of the venue there at MacGyver Reserve. Bit of open space that they could certainly develop, and that'll be good to see that western area of that just beyond Yarraville there, just getting some good facilities because there's a lot of talent in the west area there. But Tonchi, I don't think there's any live games being streamed tomorrow, is there? But there's a good show that people can catch tomorrow night, perhaps.
Yes, the game of two halves is a good little podcast, and it's powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show, formerly known as the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Tomorrow we've got a young chap from Geelong who is now part of the Steve Gerrard Academy in Liverpool, and he's just enjoyed some success, having won the National Under-23 Youth Championship competition with the Steve Gerrard Academy. Benjamin Zilic. So some of you may have played against him, some of you may have played with him, but the youngster is doing what every youngster in Australia dreams of that plays soccer, dreams of doing, and that is playing football at the highest possible level in Europe. And we will be talking to Benjamin tomorrow as well. We will also be, fingers crossed, touching base with a State League 1 coach and the opponent of Yarraville Glories on next Saturday, Ante Didolica from Corio Soccer Club. They scored their first win of the season, and they've got a big game coming up against Yarraville Glory, whose coach was just featured on the show. So lots happening in the Game of Two Halves podcast tomorrow at 8 p.m, and that's going to be, folks, simulcast live right here on the Football Out West Show Facebook page. So should be a big, big week, Steve. Mate, enjoy the week ahead. Stay warm.
That's it. Just keep the heater on, mates. And if you need to go out, as we mentioned, you can just go into any time and get your exercise in there instead of braving the cold this week.
Absolutely. Good on you, folks. Thank you very much for being a part of tonight's show. We had a lot of people tuning in tonight. I guess a lot of them would have been Burundara Kerry Eagles people, one of the 800.
We had some popular
plus
guests there. So
yeah, that's right. So thank you very much, folks, for joining us. We look forward to your company again next weekend, next Sunday at 8 p.m. Until then, bye-bye.
Good evening.